show you what I'm talking about. You're going to cut this out. Now, if you cut this out, like I said, you can't put it back, but it allows you to get a cleaner finish because you can have the fabric that you cut be larger than the opening itself and put it back here. That way, when we see it on this side, you just see this, the edge of the seat as your line as opposed to your cut line. We all know that engineered lines are straighter than the lines we do by hand, whether you're using a saw or you're using a scissors, okay? Okay, as you can see, we're back in the garage. What I'm about to do now is pull out the backrest portion of the rear seat. I'm going to be doing a retrofit on the center console. Okay, as previously mentioned, we're moving the back seat. In order to get to the bolts that you need to remove on the bottom portion of the backrest, you're going to need to remove the bench portion. Now, you're going to put your finger between the metal portion of the car and the seat itself. You're going to need to use both hands and pull up on it rather hard. Gonna hear that pop. Again, you're going to put your hands between the metal and the seat itself, and you're going to pull up. A lot of PSI here. Hear that pop? What you're going to do is come up and pull forward, and the seat comes out. Okay, so now that we have the bench out, you need to get a 12 millimeter socket. What I like to do is remove the headrests. You don't have to remove them. I just like getting them out of the way. And what it does is it exposes a flap that covers a 12 millimeter nut on the top. Down here, on either end of the seats, you have a 12 millimeter bolt. And again, on the outside of the seatbelt latch or buckle, or what, I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments what this is actually called. But anyway, on either side of that, you're gonna find another 12 millimeter bolt that you need to pull out. So you have 4 bolts on the bottom, 2 nuts on the top. You do not need to remove the seat belts. You don't need to remove the bolts that hold the seat belt, but you will have to take the seat belts out of this cradle here. And you wanna be very careful. They break very easily. You gotta think, they're exposed to the sunlight and they get brittle after, years. So just be careful. Here we go. All right, so you want to be careful here. I apologize for all the barking and howling that you're gonna hear in the background. My mail is going crazy, I don't know why. So what you're gonna do, pull forward. Again, you wanna be gentle, you wanna be careful. I like to move the seat belts out of the way. What's gonna happen is you're going to slide the seat in its entirety this way, so you don't have to remove this one, or you could just remove the bolts on the bottom, put the seat belts up here, and you're fine. I just pull it out. But anyway, you're gonna lean it forward, so you can get to the cradles. All right, what you're looking for is that little void right here. So I use a scribe. You can get a straight one, you can get one that's 90 degrees. I just grabbed the first one I get my hands on. And there's a latch. You're gonna push on that latch to get this up. It does not have much movement here. This is where they usually break, so you wanna be very careful. You're gonna hear it pop. Just like that. Once you do that, don't move it any more than you need to get that seatbelt out. You don't want to break it. Boom. That's it. You do that for all three. All right, lessons learned for today. Words have power. It broke. Just because me record, I ain't breaking up, because I've done this so many times and it didn't break. But anyway, the silver lining is I get to tell you how to rectify this situation if it happens to you. Top two screws remove this apparatus, right? The cradle. The cradle on both cradles on the passenger side are interchangeable. The one on the driver's side is turned in the opposite direction. So you'll be able to swap, pop and swap from LS400, LS430, IS300. The later models like the IS250, IS350, GS350, and so on, I don't know if they're interchangeable. They are similar in the design and style, but I don't know if they're, interchangeable. Now, what I would tell you is if you go to the salvage yard to replace one of these and you find a car that has them, that's not broken, take all three with you. If you're like me and you're constantly in and out with your back seat and always messing with stuff, you're gonna break one of these. I've broken it in the past, but it's been a while. But anyway, that's how you fix that. Okay, we're back inside. What we're doing right now is removing the center console and the insert in the back. So what do we have here? This is the armrest from an IS250. I removed the armrest from the car at the salvage yard. I don't have any footage of that. Same apparatus as removing it from the GS. It doesn't line up perfectly, but I have a drill that I'll fix that easy, right? But anyway, what I did was I disassembled the armrest, and I did that so that I could put the inserts in. Now I'm going to put it back together and we're going to see if it will work in our GS project. That's the key, in my opinion, in making the car look OEM plus, but still custom. You take parts from cars that they might have did a little bit more engineering, or maybe designed it for more luxury in mind, and then you retrofit them to your project car. So in my car, I have the interior from a GS350. It's not in the budget to replace the seats for this project. If you notice, one of the seats were torn in the GS. I have spare black leather interior. I'll swap that out, it's not a problem. But it's not in the budget to replace all the seats. So what I'm doing is making the interior look as good as I can on a budget. Not everybody has the money to pay an upholsterer to get the entire interior done, okay? And I recognize that, myself included. So let's do what we can with what we have. Let's go. Now I have center console back together. They are very similar in size. So let's see how it looks in the GS. good. I'm going to have to widen these holes to get it to fit in there. And maybe I should put it in the right way, right? Okay, we're off by a little. I might be able to force, it's so small of a difference that I might be able to bend it, but why bend it when I can enlarge in the hole? I'm gonna do it at an angle. I like to do it slowly because I'd rather have to keep going back in and using the drill to remove material than removing too much material. And if this doesn't work, I'll still be able to put the factory armrest back in. Now I'm gonna make it snug. I'm not gonna torque it down or anything like that. I'm just gonna make it snug so that I can see if it's going to function as it's supposed to. Another reason I'm not going to make it snug is because I need to remove the insert portion. That's my alarm telling me it's time to play Call of Duty. So now it's time to work on the insert. I'm gonna remove the center console and we'll work on the insert. So I mentioned previously when we were doing the armrest, when we're doing the insert, that I try to make use of every bit of the fabric, okay? I don't throw away anything until the project is complete. Why? Because I can use scraps to help me to measure and to help me to figure out how to make another portion of the interior look the way I need to. When we're talking about doing a trunk and we're talking about doing inserts and we're talking about doing a center console, every strip of fabric you have can be repurposed and reused. For instance, this is a scrap piece that obviously doesn't work here, but what I can do, I have my tape measure to let me know how long, and I can figure out how wide I need it to be, but fabric doesn't necessarily lay like a tape measure, if that makes sense. So what I'll do is I will use a piece of scrap and see how it fits mark it with my Sharpie, cut it, test fit it again, and it's a constant back and forth until you get the desired effect. Just because the fabric measures out the same does not mean that it's gonna sit the way you want it to sit. So I highly recommend that you use scrap pieces and figure out what looks good to you, what you like, what you don't like, and so on and so forth before you cut into your actual usable fabric. Make sense? All right, let's go. You have a few options on how to execute this. You can cut the fabric, measure, test, cut, measure, test, cut. Again, you want to remove as little as possible until you get the fitment that you're looking for. You could do it that way and put spray adhesive on the back of the fabric, put painter's tape here, 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 and down here, then do spray adhesive here, and then make the two mate here, right? You could do that. That's one. That's the only option that does not require you to permanently alter the seat. The other option is you can cut this out. If you cut this out, obviously you can't put it back. Show you what I'm talking about. Now, if you cut this out, like I said, you can't put it back, but it allows you to get a cleaner finish because you can have the fabric that you cut be larger than the opening itself and put it back here. That way, when we see it on this side, you just see the edge of the seat as your line as opposed to your cut line. We all know that engineered lines are straighter than the lines we do by hand, whether you're using a saw or you're using a scissors, okay?